Hey guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I have a very special guest. I have Vert Vixen. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
I'm really well, thank you. I'm so happy to have you on. I'm a big fan. We've finally made it happen.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's cool. Well, I'm going to jump in straight away because before I got you on the line, I was having an argument with a friend of mine, and you can answer this question if you like.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
100%. I'm sorry, 120%. In fact, if y'all haven't tried this, y'all are gonna think I'm weird. Pineapple, mushroom, and jalapeno is one of the best combos in the world. It's weird, but it's delicious.
Well, first of all, thank you because you're on my side, so I'll be sending a nice little message after this interview, gloating. But jalapeno, I've never had that on a pineapple and wow, okay.
It's that sweet spicy combination. I'm like a huge fan of like adding sweetness to everything to accentuate the saltiness or the spiciness, like or adding salt. Like I just made French toast, like delicious. I'm so proud of my French toast, y'all. It was egg white Ezekiel bread French toast with frickin' cottage cheese and zero sugar maple syrup, and it was delicious. And I was like, what is this? But I always put like salt in my French toast because it makes it sweeter. It's delicious.
I knew we were going to get along straight away. I knew this. For me, pineapple, ham, and mushroom pizza, but I'm going to try jalapenos now. That's, all right.
It's like spice, especially because jalapeno is such a good flavor. Like,
it's
one of my favorite spices because jalapeno flavor is so good.
Yes. See, I mean, I just, you've won my heart. You really have, I cannot wait to send that gloating text message after this interview. Really, guys. You've made my day. But normally, what we don't like to, you probably get asked why you became a wrestler a million times, so we try and stay away from that. But I doing my research, I mean, I had to ask you because it was Total Divas that got you into wrestling. So I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. I didn't watch wrestling as a kid. Like, I didn't know what wrestling was. I've said this and I'll say it again. The Rock was the Scorpion King. Like, that was just how it was. And Hulk Hogan was just this, like, weird presence that I didn't know was, like, an actual wrestling entity. Like, I just wasn't raised around it. And so I didn't really get to see it or experience it or interact with it. So.
Well, on a side note as well, you might agree, this will see how much we're going to get along still. The Scorpion King sucked, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that. Somebody agrees.
No, it's like I've had talks with Adam about this. He's like, it doesn't suck, and I'm like, well, it's because like you like The Rock, like you were raised around wrestling, and so you have a nostalgia with The Rock. I didn't, and so like I love Brendan Fraser, and the Mummy series was like, everything to me. I love the Mummy series, and so I was like, oh my God, it's like a Mummy spinoff. I was so excited for the Scorpion King, and it just didn't. It didn't live up to the Mummy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we're watching Young Rock right now, which is amazing. I highly recommend it because it's so ridiculous. But like, I'm just like, I'm sorry, man. It didn't. Scorpion King just didn't do it for me.
I agree with you. I totally agree. And I love The Rock. Don't get me wrong, but the Scorpion King really sucked. The Mummy, yes. I mean, I could go to my parents' house right now, and there's an 80% chance my mum's watching The Mummy. It's like literally whenever you go around, that film is on. I don't know what it is. It must be maybe it's a Brendan Fraser thing.
It's Brendan Fraser. Your mother's in love with Brendan Fraser.
She must be. But the Scorpion King, it sucked. I'm with you on that one. So we're 2 for 2. We're doing all right here.
We're doing all right. Good. So far, so good.
Obviously, you mentioned Total Divas, which we all get involved. We all get in somewhere. But I mean, have you? Obviously, you've only been in the business a little while. Have you gone back and watched? Not Total Divas.
Yeah. Yes. I'm very, very fortunate and grateful that that my boyfriend Adam, he goes by Prince Adam in wrestling. He's so amazing. But he is like a walking wrestling encyclopedia. Mm. So he has sat me down and we've watched key moments, WrestleMania 3. Like, we've watched key moments in wrestling history that he's like, you need to know what this is. Like, you need to sit down and watch this. Like, I've watched stuff on my own, obviously, as well. But, like, he showed me the takeover Brooklyn with Sasha and Bailey, that big, like, I love, that's like one of my favorite moments in wrestling history. Like, he's been very good about, like, these are some of the key things that we should watch together. And like I said, I do watch it on my own too, but he's a walking wrestling encyclopedia, so I'm like, hey, like, what should I be watching, right? Because he just has so much knowledge. And on top of, like, not just the American side, like, he loves Japanese wrestling. So we've watched New Japan together. We've watched old Japanese, like Noah, and like we've watched older stuff too in Japan, because it's just so good. And we've watched British stuff, and like he recently got IWTV subscription, so like we've been watching that stuff. Like, wrestling is a huge part of our household. Like I said, I do watch it on my own, but like a lot of the times, like we'll come home, or he'll come home from work, and the first thing he does is put on wrestling. We just watched freaking Taker and CM Punk from 29 like 2 nights ago, and it was amazing. I was like, how have I not seen this before? Like, it's kind of cool because I get to experience stuff for the first time that like I understand on a different level now, but it kind of sucks because I wish I had experienced it when I was younger, because it would have held, like, it would have held more kind of magic to me, you know what I mean? Like, it's still magical to watch it, but I wish I had started earlier. I wish I had, because I love it so much.
You mentioned WrestleMania 3. I mean, I'm 37 in a few weeks, and people always say to me, what's some of your favorite moments from wrestling? And I always go still back to Hogan slamming Andre, because it's the moment. You as a wrestling fan, when you grow up, you realize how important that moment was.
Right.
It wasn't just, oh, great, Hogan slammed the Giant. It's the history behind Hogan slamming the Giant, how monumental that was. So I'm happy that he put WrestleMania 3 on for you. Obviously, Steamboat Savage as well was just,
Yes,
classic.
We watched that one too. I mean, he showed me. We watched a lot of Steamboat. We've watched a decent amount of Savage. Like, it's been. I want to know the history of what I do, and it's very, very important because, like I said, once again, I was not raised up on wrestling, and wrestling is an art in itself, and the storytelling behind it is just so beautiful. Like, the skill it takes to be a wrestler is insane. Like, it is. I've done a lot of different things in my life, like a lot of different things. I've changed my career now like 3 or 4 times, like, because that's just and that's just who I am, because I'm one of those people where it's like, if I'm not happy and fulfilling everything I want personally, then it's not the job for me. And wrestling hits every freaking box for me, so it's great. But wrestling is easily by far the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like, it's made me like really sit down and like look at my mental health and my like emotional health, and obviously I take like my physical health. I can't even tell you how many supplements I take now, like vitamins, because I need them, and the amount of water I'm making sure I drink, and obviously my diet, my exercise, and the next thing I really need to kick up is my flexibility. Like, but it's insane. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
I agree. I mean, I trained twice, going back about 10 years ago. So we've actually got a promotion in my city where I live, and I trained twice, and I tapped out. It wasn't for me. I have a couple of friends who are wrestling in the city and wrestling for that company. So much respect for what you guys do. And 2 goes and I was done. I was like, I can't do this. I'm too fat. I'm too, I'm too lazy. This isn't for me. I'm happy being a fan, but even as a fan, I love the history of the business, and you can always find me watching things. I love the whole territory days, watching the old territories and things like that.
Wow.
I truly love wrestling, so even as a fan, I totally understand, wanting to learn everything. But you mentioned Japan and the UK, though. I mean, we might as well ask you now. Are there goals coming over here to the UK, wrestling in Japan?
I with COVID, not like, well. Yes, I want to go to Japan. I want to go to the UK. I want to go everywhere I can, even Canada. Like, I want to go everywhere I can to wrestle and learn, because the style is just so much different everywhere, and yet so similar. And that's what's I just wrestled Masha Slamovich on Saturday, and she's been to Japan now a couple times, and for over a year this last time. And like the amount of knowledge she has and the way she moves, and like she's telling me her experience in Japan, and I was just like, God, I would love to experience that. Like, first of all, I love Japanese wrestling. Like, it's just so good. Like, there's just some kind of like, we were watching a freaking documentary on Maki Ito last night. Like, it's just so interesting, and it's so different. And being like an anime nerd growing up, I won't lie, I'm like, this is like real life anime. How did I not get into this earlier? Like, it straight up is. And it's just, I don't know. I that's my goal. I don't know what the situations are like right now with COVID. I plan on sending my stuff to Japan as soon as I can here, but I just don't know what there's still restrictions, and COVID is still real, so it's not like,
Yeah, same with the UK. We've not had a show now for a year. So it was last March.
Wow.
So we've not had a show. Fingers crossed, our government are hoping we can be back to normal by towards the end of June. So hopefully we might have some wrestling in summer later this year. So you never know if you get yourself over here to the UK as well. But obviously Japan as well. Let's not forget the most important part about going to Japan. You've got to get that Ribera Steakhouse jacket.
The which jacket?
The Ribera Steakhouse jacket. You've got to get that jacket that everyone gets. That's the important thing.
Obviously.
But you mentioned Masha though, and we'll talk about her because we've interviewed Masha Slamovich as well on the podcast. What was it like working with her? Because like you said, she's making a name for herself at the moment as well.
She's great. She's fantastic. I want to work her again. Like, it was fantastic, and it was really kind of like a no fear match. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, let's just do it. And I would love to work her again. And I learned a lot from working her, and I would like, I want to learn more, but I also want to go back and have a better match. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, just like amplify it up again. Now that we've worked each other once, that's what I love about working like the same girl multiple times. You know what I mean? Is it's like, you're like, okay, I always personally like to try something different. I don't ever, no matter where it is, I never want to do the same thing or have the same match. Yeah. But it's just like, okay, we've already touched. We've done this once. We've already beat the living crap out of each other once. So now let's do it again, and let's bring it up to the next level. You know?
Absolutely. That's it. That's the best way to do it. Same as a fan, like you don't want to go to a live show. I've been to 2 WWE live shows in a row once, and you got the same match 2 nights in a row, exactly the same, everything. And it's like, you're doing this, change it up a bit, guys. So I totally get that. I really do. Learning as well. I'm going to mention Thunder Rosa soon, but I'm going to ask you as well, how important have Jazz and Rodney Mack been to your career?
So they were very extremely helpful when I trained with them. I'm currently not training with them anymore, but I did train with them for 3 months, and it was extremely helpful. Like, it was a great experience, and I'm very grateful for it. But right now I'm focusing on my training here at Austin, and I'm currently training at AEPW, and Adam is currently my main trainer. So we're changing things up a little bit, because the way he wrestles is he's super aggressive. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff. He's super aggressive. He's super fast. Like, he's super precise with everything. And I mean, he's super talented and has like a very I guess independent indie moveset, like in the sense of like how he moves and the matches he has. So training with him is really, I mean, I started training with him originally. Like, I will tell you 100% that he's the reason why I have any kind of fundamentals or base. Like, because like he's just such a good teacher. But like, he's really pushing me right now. Like, he's pushing me to be the best I can be. So I'm just very grateful for where I'm at right now.
And I guess, I mean, again, I'm not a wrestler, but I'm guessing it's a case of you're always learning. I guess you never stop learning when
Always. Like, and I'm one of those people too that like, I am never happy or satisfied with myself. Even back, like, I was a 3D artist and a cosplayer, any kind of art form, I'm very self-critical, like in everything I do, like extremely self-critical, and I'm nothing is ever good enough. And so because of that, I'm constantly like I need to get better. I need to do more. I need to put more of my focus, like, where do I need to focus more? Like, and my main focus is right now is that I need to study more tape. Like, I really need to study more tape. And that's because, once again, I didn't grow up watching wrestling. So
Yeah.
it's like things that I just have to get ingrained in me that weren't ingrained in me growing up. I'm starting to do MMA classes just to really work on my footwork and to really work on, like, being a better striker, and being faster and better and being able to move more and move well in that ring. And then obviously in-ring cardio and like, and really just making sure that my body is where it needs to be, because let's be real, it's wrestling and it's partly a cosmetic business. And I want to make sure that I look the part of Vert Vixen. You know what I mean? And that doesn't necessarily mean completely ripped or thin. It doesn't mean that, but like, I know that like my character sees herself as a video game character. So I need to freaking look like one. Like, so for me, that's my goal, which is ridiculous.
No, absolutely. No, totally get it. That's it. You want to look the best, be the best, and I get what you mean as well. I'm always learning as well. Cause I mean, I play guitar and, I'm, even when I've finished playing guitar, I'll just sit there and I'll be like, that was shit. Even though I can play the thing, I'm like, yeah, that was garbage. Practice some more, go and watch that and pick up on that. So I totally get that as well. But Mission Pro Texas, I've got to ask you, Mission Pro Wrestling Texas as well. I mean, what's it like being working there with Thunder Rosa? Because that's another company I've really started to watch a lot of lately, and it's doing really good things.
Yeah, it was really great working for them. I'm currently really not working as many independent shows right now, so I don't have any Mission Pro shows planned in the future. But it was really great working for them, and I think that one of my favorite matches came out of that, which was working Lacey Ryan, like that, who's now Zoe Stark in WWE. That's one of my favorite matches and one of my favorite opponents, because there's something about, like, sometimes when you get in a ring with a person and you lock eyes, there's some kind of, like, there's either magnetism and chemistry or there's not, right? And like with her, I felt it right away. It was like, this is what it feels like. You know what I mean? This is a fight in the best way. And so, like, I don't know. Now I'm like gushing over her because she's so amazing, but I want to work her again one day.
You never know. I mean, I wasn't that familiar with her until recently, and obviously I saw her against Io Shirai in NXT, and I was blown away. I was like, all right, there's a star there. So I totally get that. Yeah, and you never know. I mean, goals. I mean, is NXT a possibility for you in the future? You could work her again.
It might be.
You never know. I'm
submitting my stuff everywhere because the goal here is like to be a professional wrestler all the time, like, and
Absolutely.
To be signed, right? So.
Hell yeah. I mean, speaking of that as well, I mean, I've got to ask you about AEW. I mean, what was that experience like, getting to be a part of Dark?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely incredible. I've never been so excited and nervous and scared and like all of these feelings all at the same time. And everybody that I've worked with there has just been amazing. The company's incredible. Everyone's super friendly. Like, it's and the girls I've worked have all been absolutely incredible. Like, I'm so excited for freaking Elevation. Yeah. Yes, yep. Elevation. My brain. I'm like, Evolution. I'm like, no, that's the pay-per-view. Elevation. I'm so excited for that because there's so many talented people on their roster in general. But as a female wrestler, I kind of focus on the women, right? So there's so many talented women on that roster that I would love to see have more matches and more storylines and have more of that stuff. And I feel like Elevation might be a good platform for them to do that. So it's like really exciting because I'm like, okay, more matches, more featuring of women's wrestling. And on top of it, more wrestling in general for us to watch. So I don't know. I love everything the company's doing. I'm super duper stoked. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I get with them. And, maybe one day I'll be able to call them my home. Maybe, I don't know. But it's right now, I'm just grateful that I even have the opportunities I'm given. So. Well,
obviously as well, with Dark, how important do you think Dark has been as well? Because the opportunity it's given to a lot of the indie talents has been fantastic. How important do you think that has been?
I think it's hugely important because I feel like a lot of the, I mean, I don't want to speak for people, but wrestling, there's a lot of wrestling to watch, right? And I don't know if a lot of people watch necessarily independent wrestling unless it's like their local independent wrestling. Because IWTV and stuff like that exists, but I don't know how many people are like IWTV, you know, unlike in WWE or Impact, right? Like instead of the big names. So I think it really gives the majority of people the chance to see talent that they might not have seen. And there's so many talented people on the independent wrestling scene. Like, it's scary. Like, that's why I'm like, I have to work harder. It's scary. There are so many talented men and women and in between on, like, there's just so many talented people on the independent scene. And I really think that AEW is giving them a chance to at least show who they are. Like, they might not be able to go completely balls to the wall in their matches right now because it's, you know, it's enhancing their current talent, but it's still like, I mean, there's people that I've seen that I didn't know existed because they were independent wrestling in, you know, in California or like in the Midwest, in places that I don't go yet, you know? So it's personally very cool. And I think it's really a great opportunity for independent wrestlers to be featured or at least shown to the world.
Absolutely. I mean, it's put our eyes on a lot of talent that we've not heard of or seen before. So it's fantastic. You know, we've had the chance to speak to a lot of people from Dark. It's given us that opportunity. You know, same with IWTV, like you mentioned. I mean, we've had no shows over here for a year. So we've been very invested in the independent scene in America.
Hell yeah.
Through IWTV. And like obviously with GCW and Black Label Pro, companies like that. New Texas Pro that I know you worked for.
Heavy Metal, if you haven't checked them out yet.
Heavy Metal, I've heard of them, but I will check them out, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's another company. Obviously, you worked New Texas Pro. Astro World, I mean, we spoke to Willie a couple of weeks ago. And the card was just incredible. When he reeled off the card to us, we was like, holy shit, dude. I mean, that card is insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent. Like, so some people are always like, nothing comes out of Texas. I'm like, excuse me. Like, there's a lot of talented people here in Texas currently. And then obviously, I mean, look at all the talent that came from Texas, right? Like, we've got Eddie Guerrero, freaking Undertaker, like Stone Cold, like Von Erich. There's so many amazing talented people that come from Texas. And so it's really great that we have something like IWTV that can show off the current independent talent because the talent pool is just insane here. Like, absolutely insane. Like, I will put Adam over any day because he's absolutely incredible. But y'all should definitely check out Prince Adam. He's on IWTV. But Heavy Metal has a tons of talented people. New Texas has tons of talented people. I don't know if you watch Reality of Wrestling, but the people coming from Raw are absolutely amazing. Definitely check that out.
Texan, Booker T. There you go.
Yeah. Booker T. Is he another Texan? That's why it's like, it's great. Like, and I'm actually from California and I moved here for a job. And I'm just like, man, I couldn't have moved. Like, I'm sure the scene in California is great, but I couldn't have moved to a better place to start independent, like to start wrestling because it's just, there's so many foundations here in Texas. So many.
Absolutely. And it's we're actually coming to Texas next year. We've got our WrestleMania hotels booked and everything already. So we're
next year, that's right.
Yeah, Texas has always been on my bucket list. I've done a lot of America. I've never done Texas. So I'm like, I can cross, you know, two birds, one stone. I can come to Texas and go to WrestleMania. So that's a bonus for me. But I have to ask you as well, before we do start to wrap up, AEW Dark, one of the people you worked with was Abadon. What was it like working with her? Because I think another one making a big name for herself. Chris Jericho even said himself, probably the best gimmick in wrestling at the moment. What's your thoughts? I mean, what's it like working with her?
It's frightening. Because I've never worked somebody like that before. Absolutely amazing. I would work Abadon again 100 million%. In fact, I would love some kind of zombie slayer, zombie storyline with her. That would be amazing. Oh, yeah. Just saying Resident Evil. But anyways, I loved working with her and talented, even though I know she's younger to this business, super talented, super frightening and scary in the ring. Like, just, I felt it. Like, there's nothing like staring a zombie in the face with blood dripping down her mouth after you hit her and she doesn't move. And you're like, what the like, no. And then getting backhanded. I'm like, are you kidding me? But it was fantastic. Any day I'll do it again. Like I might not make it out alive. But I think it would be worth it. Well, at least I would have died from a zombie.
The Zombie Slayer storyline. You said Resident Evil. For some reason, I was thinking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But,
that too. Come on.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, people who will listen to this, I am still a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's iconic, and I also like Angel, the spin-off. I'm sorry.
Angel. I haven't heard anybody talk about Angel since middle school.
Jonas, I'll let you in on a secret. I actually still have the box sets on DVD, Buffy and Angel. I hold my hands up, guilty pleasure, but you cannot beat it. Lights off, TV on, pizza, bang some more Buffy on or some old Angel. It's perfect. But
100%.
There's a storyline I could very much invest in. You and Abadon, the Zombie and the Slayer. Perfect.
Maybe one day, but for now hopefully I will get to work with her again one day.
Yeah.
And I'm very once again grateful that I got to work with her in the first place. And I don't know, just.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know obviously we're big fans, and Callum, bless him, when I said you were coming on as well, he was like, it's not going to be long before she's all elite. That was his words.
Aww, that's so sweet. Thank you.
And I agree 100%. Before we wrap things up, then I'm going to ask you, because everyone keeps going on about it. Who's the Hall of Famer then who's debuting tomorrow? Who's your
I don't know. I had a podcast yesterday, and they were like asking the same question. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know, and second of all, I feel like if I guess and I guess correctly, I might get fired, so and never be allowed back. So I'm like, I don't know. You know who I really wanted to be? Who I really wanted to be, who it probably won't ever be because it's just a pipe dream.
I'll tell you what, let's see if we say the same person after 3, right?
Okay, probably not.
1, 2, 3, Christian.
CM Punk. Oh, because they said that he's Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah.
Christian though, okay. That would be real weird though. I mean, well, never mind. The whole Paul thing just happened. I was about to say, wasn't he just on WWE? But weirder things have happened, so I can't.
Yeah, the Paul White thing threw me. I remember getting a message off a friend who was like, I just thought he'd done like one of those, like, what they're called, where you put I'm a technophobe. When you put a picture onto another picture, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all the time. That's what I see flyers sometimes, and I'm like, oh, that's fake, and it's like, oh no, it's real. And I'm like, what?
I was like, oh yeah, haha, mate, really funny, blah blah blah. And then I went on Twitter. I was like, oh, hang on a minute, this is real. What?
It's real.
Oh my god.
I looked at it. Had I just? Oh no, I had missed that last taping because of the snowpocalypse here. But I had looked at it, and I was like. And I looked at Adam, and he was like, what? And we both were just like, what is this?
I was shocked. Straight away, I texted Callum. I was like, Callum. And he thought I was winding him up and joking. And I was like, no, mate, look on Twitter. It's real.
It's real.
Like, oh, my God, this is huge. But, yeah. But CM Punk would be great. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't after a name. I just wondered who your guess was. But for me, I'm hoping a Lesnar or a Punk. But we'll see.
Been missing for a minute, hasn't he?
I
don't know. I mean, look, I'm just excited that it's going to be like another awesome person a part of AEW, because I think AEW is really doing some incredible things, and so it's really cool to see all these people getting behind them. And I mean, look, WWE is doing amazing things too. I have to stay neutral here because I do love companies, but
this is it. This is what always gets me. It's okay to like all the wrestling companies,
That's exactly it.
This is
it, man. And that's why I remember when people were like, oh man, it's gonna be the freaking, it's the Monday Night Wars all over again. And I'm just like, but wrestling, we have so much wrestling to watch now.
Yeah, exactly.
What is wrong with that? And as a wrestler, I'm like, more jobs? Like, why is that bad? It's not.
There's only one winner here, and that's wrestling,
Everybody involved in wrestling.
Everybody involved. I said this a while ago. It's the best time to be a wrestling fan at the moment. You know, with all these companies, all these great talents, it's the best time.
Maybe just like a wrestler in general, like
right,
because there's so many more opportunities. Like I've heard stories of back in the day, like you know, I've had people tell me it's a cutthroat business and like not everyone's gonna make it, and not everyone's gonna have opportunities. And now I'm kind of like, I don't think that's the case anymore because there's so many opportunities. And I really find now, like all of the friends I make in wrestling, we all push each other to be better, and we're all very supportive of each other because there are so many opportunities.
That's how it should be.
And it's like, why not? Let's all build each other up and just make wrestling better. Like, I mean, not that it's not amazing, but just continue to have it grow, you know?
This is it. It's the best time. You look now, you've got AEW working with Impact. New Japan are getting involved. You know, I said to a friend of mine, don't forget, New Japan work with Ring of Honor. So could you see Ring of Honor getting involved? Yeah. It's just, you know, it's a great time to be a fan. The NWA are coming back. It's just, it's the best time to be a fan. It really is. 100%. Before we wrap it up as well, like I said, honestly, I'm 100% with Callum. It won't be long before you're all elite. I truly believe that.
Thank you.
But before we
manifest that.
Before we wrap up, tell everybody where they can find you, social medias, any merchandise.
So you can find me on Twitter at Vert Vixen. Instagram is also at Vert Vixen. Facebook is facebook.com/Alicia Cosplay because I could not get Vert Vixen on there. It is an old Facebook. And I will be streaming again. It's at twitch.tv/Vert Vixen. So you can watch me be a crazy person in game because I'm a little crazy when I game. And I do have merchandise. It's vertvixen.bigcartel.com. I think if you go on Big Cartel and you search Vert Vixen, it'll come up. I'm not 100% sure how that website works. I won't lie to you. But I have a shirt on there. I'll be having 2 more I'm dropping soon. I've also got some prints and stickers. So, woo! I can breathe now. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll make sure because Callum does all the editing because, like I said, I just about turned this laptop on. But Callum will put all of the links on the interview anyway, so people will be able to find you and everything will be done. But yeah, for now, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. We are massive fans, so I can't thank you enough. Vert Vixen, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.